Hello, good evening, everybody. How are you? Well, welcome to the channel. If you've not been here before, my name is Elizabeth, and I am your friendly hillbilly host. And this is Hillbilly Crime. We've got Sweet Tater here, my mommy, and we got a special guest with us tonight, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason is Jason is mommy's little helper. He helps her do all kinds of things, and she couldn't get along without him. So thank you for being here.
No problem.
All right, let's see who all is here. Crystal, welcome in, everyone, and please hit that like button on your way in. Yes, Jessica Jackson. Hello, Yuns. Lynn, go. Hello, have done while I was waiting. Okay, Marnie, welcome to the chat. All right. So, how
Work.
was your all's day?
Oh, I had a wonderful day.
Yeah.
I went down to town. Well, I got up and did the usual stuff, taking care of dogs. Boy, they're a lot of work.
I know.
So I was going for an interview. So I went to an interview on how about. I started to say Halloween's about Valentine's Day, and so we talked about Valentine's Day, and we talked about Groundhog's Day,
Just had a good
and
time.
then I came along home and wasn't long till Jason came and we did all kinds of stuff,
Yep.
working stuff.
Well, good, good, good. Well, how are you doing, Jason?
I'm doing good. A little
Good.
nervous. First time I ever done anything like this.
That's all right. You just hang right with us. We're going to look at a couple updates. We've had a couple big things drop here recently. So if you don't know who Ben Crump is, Ben Crump is kind of a celebrity lawyer. He has really taken the reins with civil rights lawsuits with a lot of people who have been unalived by police officers. And so Ben Crump is now representing the family of Doug Harless. And so we're going to look at this article real quick. Let me get it up here. High profile civil rights attorney to represent. Give me just a second. There we go. To represent family of man unalived by police. All right. Ben Crump. That's his picture there. Let me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
By London police, according to a well-known civil rights attorney for help. Ben Crump, known for representing the families of Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor, is now taking on the case of Douglas Harless. Harless was killed in December
That's good. They're definitely
2024. Apparently went to the wrong home while serving a church warrant for a stolen baby.
I know the volume's not up very
Community
low.
members gathered for Harless. It was part of the Justice for Doug movement, which demands answers and accountability. The shooting is still under investigation by Kentucky State Police.
All right. Let me get back up here. It says the family of a man who was pew-pewed and unalived by London officers has turned to a well-known civil rights attorney for help. Ben Crump, who is known for representing the families of Trayvon Martin, George Floyd, and Breonna Taylor, has taken on the Douglas Harless case, according to the Harless family. Harless, 63, was pew-pewed and unalived days before Christmas when it appears as if officers responded to the wrong home while serving a search warrant for a stolen weed eater. Since his death, community members have gathered to honor Harless's life while calling for justice and answers from officials through the Justice for Doug movement. Fox 56 has reached out to Crump for a statement and is waiting to hear back. The Pew Pew is still under investigation by Kentucky State Police. And then the community, they had a big protest. They've been having protests since this happened. It says community demands answers after Laurel County man is unalived by police. In London on Saturday afternoon, people demanded answers and transparency from law enforcement after the death of Douglas Harless, who was unalived by police in his home in Lily. I've always been a big supporter of the blue, but we need, as my sign says, we need transparency, said Kay Hensley, who is an attorney in London who attended the march. Court documents said officers were executing a search warrant for a stolen weed eater and heater on the night Harless died. Authorities say 49-year-old Hobart Buttery, who appeared in court on Thursday, admitted to stealing those items from a home that belonged to Laurel County Judge Executive David Westerfeld. Buttery said he stored the stolen weed eater at a home on Van Zant Road. Dispatch audio indicates officers were supposed to go to 489 Van Zant Road, but reportedly went to 511 Van Zant Road instead. That's where Harless lived. Amid the ongoing investigation, family and community members say they have been left in the dark, wondering if the police were at the right house and if they used excessive force. The biggest question I've got, why didn't somebody say, slow down here, people? I mean, every policeman there should have been trained to say, are we at the right place? That's the same thing I said. Or why are we showing so much force? Said Mark Meyer, who was at the march. A December 6th press release from the London Police Department stated that Harless pointed a pew-pew at officers, which resulted in him being pew-pewed instead. Now, dozens of protesters, many who didn't even know Harless, are pushing for accountability. There needs to be justice. There needs to be blame put on the police department and on the officer who pew-pewed him. They need to be brought to justice, said Chelsea Letch, a friend of Harless. We need full and complete disclosure, not sweeping things under the rug, not hiding anything. We need to know, Hensley added. Those who did know Harless, like Letchke, said he was a ray of light, that this world would be a little darker without. Getting emotional about the loss of her friend and former work colleague, Letchke said, you lose somebody that would just give you his last penny, and he would go months without money. He's just a great man, and it's something that we're all going to lose. As the push for answers continues, another protest is set to happen at 11:30 a.m. on January 25th. Protesters will meet in the parking lot of the Big Lots in London. Protesters are encouraged to remain peaceful and wear black. Wow. Well, what do you guys think about that situation in London?
It's awful. They should have at least looked at the mailbox, made sure everything was there. They was at the right place. And they didn't need, how many cops was there? Like 10, 15, something like that?
I think there was like 9 or something like that, yeah.
Yeah, that seems a little excessive, for a weed eater.
That's right, it does. At the city council meeting that we watched, they were talking about how they had a task force previously, and It looked like the mayor was trying to weasel out of it being an actual task force, project that they were working on that night, but it looks like they were doing something. Let's see. I'm only a couple of minutes late. You're just fine, honey. We're just getting going. Leanne. Hi, Elizabeth, Sweet Tater, and Jason.
Hey,
Trace. We need a Sweet Tater music intro. We need a theme song. Well, I think Mama Duck is working on that. We're getting there, y'all. It's a work in progress. I put my DNA on the thumbs up. Curious who's this handsome young fella? We love Jason. Ben Crump is a grandstander. He only takes cases that promotes himself. We might have some differences of opinion in here, and that's fine. Just everybody try to be respectful. Hello, kind mountain people. Hello, Dave H. Let's see. See you later says, sounds like a slam dunk case. You would think an in-state attorney would have jumped at that bag. Well, this is something I wanted to say. Just like with the case with Ben Fields, the only reason that case went anywhere, the only reason that we ever found out anything was because Ned Pillersdorf took that case. Ned pushed that. And I don't think that there was probably, and this is just my opinion, but I don't think there was another lawyer in Eastern Kentucky that would have taken that case. No. Ned's a really good attorney, and he's kind of one of the he's well known for, if you're in trouble, that's he's who you want to take your case. But if he wouldn't have taken it, where would everybody be now? And so that's one thing that the people of this area face as a obstacle, is that we don't have very many lawyers that will take cases. Just because you might have a good case doesn't mean that anybody's going to take it. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's see. Vanessa Irwin, next protest is February 8th at 11:30 a.m. Main Street, London, Kentucky. Please, if you want to go and be with them during their protest, go make your voice heard. Come on down if you want to join in. They would be very happy to have you. Crump refused to advocate for a Latin woman that was falsely arrested when collecting ballot signatures for an independent candidate. Well, that's nice to know. Cece, where is the weed eater? Did they ever find the weed eater? I don't know.
It'd be bad, wouldn't it?
Who is that good-looking man with Sweet Tater?
Lord.
The POS pack gets more members and take out the good, decent people. Funny that Ned represented Blair for doing what Fields did. Well, he's a defense attorney. You got to remember. And he also lives in this area and he works in this area. So you also have to think about that. He's probably, even though, thank God he took Sabrina's case, but if it was something that he didn't want to mess with, or if it was something that he probably ain't no different than any other lawyer around here. If he don't think he can win the case, or if he don't want to put himself in a bad position.
Powerful people.
That's right. He's not stupid. He's not going to do nothing that's going to hurt him. or that would give him any kind of negative, backlash anyway. But that's just my opinion, y'all.
Yeah, I do.
Lawyers, lawyers are so interconnected here through family and family court duties, etc. Well, yeah, and just like our family court, his name is Daniel Dotson, and I thought he was a judge. I thought he was like a family court judge, but I found out recently that that's not exactly what the title is. Somebody told me he was a commissioner. He's some type of a commissioner for family court. But he is also a defense attorney. He's not a public defender. He is a defense attorney here in Whitesburg.
I heard it was $20,000 or something like that just to get him.
Well, I'm sure it would depend on
Who it was. Yeah, who he was.
and what the charge is, what you're hiring him for. But yes, he is one of the higher priced defense attorneys. And he's in that good old boy circle. That's one of the players down there. If you are interested in the cast, look on WYKYT Newscast. Just a month ago, the sheriff was talking about all the big busts they have done recently. There you go, Vanessa Irwin. Now, they have put together a Facebook page for Doug Harless. And there's a video that is on there that I found very interesting. We're not going to listen to the audio because it has a song in it, and we don't want to get copyrighted. So, let's... Mayor Randall Weddle's sister. It's got a whole bunch of mug shots on here.
The truth comes out.
We don't want no sound. Let me see if I can find the sound. Well, I don't want to click on it because I don't want to make the sound come on there, but y'all can see it, can't you? Mayor Randall Waddle. And there's a whole bunch of mug shots there of a girl, and it says Amy Weddle. And it's saying that that's Mayor Weddle, the London mayor's sister. Mayor Randall Weddle of London, Kentucky. Randall Weddle. This must be his son. Mayor Randall Weddle, or maybe that was him when he was young. It says it's his mother. And then Mayor Randall Weddle's sister.
So random family.
And then Mayor Randall Weddle's other sister. So they've all got a bunch of Mayor Randall Weddle's cousin. So they've got a whole bunch of family mugshots, I guess. Somebody sent that to me. That's on Justice for Doug Facebook page. If anybody is interested and would like to go follow that page. Scoops says he also sits on drug court too, talking about Daniel Dotson. Domestic Relations Commissioner, not elected, appointed by the judge. So is he appointed by Jimmy Kraft?
Yep.
Jimmy Kraft is who appoints him then?
I would assume, yeah.
Angel Fire says it's a $10,000 retainer.
Oh.
Well, I pulled up a couple of his review, like they had him on Yelp and they had him on a couple other pages for like, just business directories, I guess, you know. It had the Better Business Bureau, all of those things I went and looked at. And they had several reviews, and one person reviewed on there and said he was a monster for the way that he handled their case. And then somebody else got on there and said that he played on his phone the whole time that they were in court or whatever, and that he took an ungodly amount of money from him. And then whenever he started losing, or whenever he figured out he was going to lose the case, then he told him he needed a whole big bunch more money and said that he still lost it. They were not happy with their representation. But then there were several reviews on there that said best attorney ever. So, I mean, at least it balanced out on the reviews. I want to ask Elizabeth what she thinks of Jackie Steele and how unbiased and fair she thinks KSP is going to be on Doug Harless' investigation. Well, what are you chewing on? Let me go see what my dog's chewing on.
Jackie Steele.
Okay, so Jackie Steele is the prosecutor. He's the special prosecutor who has been assigned to Mickey Stines' case, who's prosecuting Mickey. He's also, I've seen him in a couple other cases recently that I didn't know he was in. And I'll be honest with you, at first, I didn't have much faith in how he was going to prosecute this case. I just wasn't convinced, you know, that he wouldn't be biased. And now I'm starting to think a little bit differently about all kinds of things. That's one thing I wanted to talk about tonight, something I've kind of changed my mind on with Mickey. But I think that Jackie Steele is, I think he's going to prosecute this as to the best of his ability. I thought at first that he would be really interested in a plea bargain. What do you think? What do you guys think?
I thought he would.
Yeah. Yeah, anything. Yeah. Which I don't know much about this case. To be honest.
Talk anyway.
You thought that he would be interested in a plea bargain, Mom?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now I think seeing him in a couple hearings, I think he's starting to find his bearings. And I think they're starting to feel comfortable with the case now. I mean, this is just my own opinion. I could be completely wrong. You know, every case that you take, at the beginning, it's going to be new, and there's going to be unknowns, and there's going to be a lot of things that you're just not sure about. Now, I think that they've got a lot of the discovery out. They've given it to the defense. And I think he's going to prosecute it.
Yeah.
Lawyers be lawyering. That's right. That's right. I know all about police corruption and cover-up. I'm from Muhlenberg County, Kentucky. Just look up what Officer Billy Fields did, if not familiar. All right, we will. Remember that, Billy Fields. Having a civil rights lawyer in London case should also look into the guy they arrested that said he looked that weed eater. He too needs to make sure civil rights aren't violated, and the homeless guy. Yeah, and what about all the civil rights that have been violated right here in Letcher County? Ned Pillersdorf represents two victims of Ben Fields. Somebody else apparently represents the third person. And everybody's been waiting for more victims to come forward. We know by listening to the audio tapes that there were plenty of victims beforehand. But something that I would like to point out, if this was somebody who's married, or maybe they were married at the time, or maybe they're married now, and they had kids and they've got kids, and they've got their life together, they're not going to want to come forward and say, this happened to me back 10 years ago or 20 years ago or however long ago it was. A lot of women, I don't think, would come forward if you've got a lot to lose.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the deeper this rabbit hole goes, the more dangerous it all becomes too. There was another pew-pew by cops in Rowan County today. No names released, but one is unalived and one injured. Yeah, she came right over here and snuck that back. Get it here.
Another shaky black eye.
Sorry, she found a hanger. Yes, I saw that case right before I came on. I saw that. I think it's going to be female. Kentucky Bluebirds. That sounds like my family. Please hit that like and subscribe buttons. It's free and really helps the Hillbilly Crime Channel. It sure does. Let's try to hit 1,000 likes on this live. Please, please, please. Hobart Buttrey is the one who was arrested and admitted to stealing the weed eater of Judge X Westerfield. The judge executive said in leaked phone call that he was going to try to get Buttrey. I put my DNA on the like button. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Crystal C. Oh, yep. Please make sure to be mindful of the words we use. Change them to rugs, schmecks, alive, etc. Sorry, y'all. Don't drink the water in Kentucky, CC. Thank you. Absolutely. Martin County. But this issue with Martin County water has been going on for years and years. When I ran that nonprofit that I worked for, several years ago, that was one of the things that we were doing, was doing tap water testing and water quality testing and stuff. And Martin County had a horrible history with their water. We'll do a video on that. Was trying to get Buttrey charged at full extent. Yeah, I call that abuse of power. Absolutely. Yeah. Vanessa's talking about in that phone call, that 911 call that we listened to, the judge executive is talking to that police officer, and he says that he wants to get him charged to the fullest extent of the law. As much as they can throw at him, they want him to go away to prison for as long as they can make him. Look up the older fella in the dementia in Kentucky. They arrested him. Yeah, we did a video on that the other day, Kentucky Bluebirds. Let's see. All of this reminds me of the TV show Justified.
Oh.
I know this sounds simple-minded. Oh, of untrained police. Yes. My dog is having her spell right now for some reason. I think he will feel a lot of pressure to keep him out of court. A lot of people may not want their names mentioned by the defense.
Yeah.
That's true too. How far does the rabbit hole go? Yes, we're almost at 9,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, please.
God.
Angel Fire says, I'd say they are afraid to come forward, or they were paid to be quiet. That's a really good point too. I'm not a fan of Jackie Steele. Well, I never did know of him before this. This was the first time I had heard of him. Let's see. Let me put this article on. Thank God. Alan, take her out, please. She's causing way too much trouble in here while I'm working. Please. Yes, I am. She's causing all kinds of problems. All right. Here's an article, y'all. I think this is really important to at least be aware of and see, just be aware of it. Lexington is the regional hub for cartels, illegal rug trade. Why? The location is a reason. The DEA says interstate access makes Lexington, Kentucky a prominent city for rug trafficking. 2 men sentenced for helping to launder $23 million in rug money through Lexington are among many suspects facing prosecution for helping cartels operate in Kentucky. Think about how much rug problems we've got right here in Letcher County, Perry County, Pike County. It would be very, very naive or maybe even negligent to think that it's not, that some of this traffic is not coming from Lexington way. In that specific investigation, 6 men were found to be part of the operation which imported rugs and needed profits laundered and returned to rug suppliers in Mexico, according to court documents. A total of 26 kilograms of snow cane was seized in that investigation. Snow cane is readily available throughout Kentucky, and cartel's presence is a major issue, according to Kevin McWilliams, Public Information Officer for the Louisville Field Division of the Drug Enforcement Administration. McWilliams said the DEA seized $6.1 million in cash in Kentucky from October 21 to September 22. Why isn't all of this seizure money going to help pay for these departments and stuff? That just doesn't even make sense. The 2022 fiscal year. In the 23 fiscal year, the DEA has seized $3.6 million in cash related to rug trafficking, McWilliams said. The Sinaloa cartel and the Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, there's my Spanish, have established a presence in Lexington, McWilliams said in an emailed statement to the Herald Leader. Both the Sinaloa cartel and CJNG are drug cartels based in Mexico that the United States claims are responsible for the vast majority of the F word and the math, unaliving Americans, according to the DEA. We've had lots of people in this area down here OD from this stuff. McWilliams described Lexington as a regional distribution location for such rugs in large part because of its location and access to I-75 north-south and I-64 east-west. Major cities which serve as hubs for rug trafficking are within a day's drive of Lexington, including Detroit, Chicago, and Atlanta. There is a great deal of traffic on these interstates, and they easily connect a lot of places. U.S. Attorney Carlton Scheer IV said in an email, Scheer is the top federal prosecutor in the Eastern District of Kentucky. That means easier access and distribution. As a result, a lot of large rug and money seizures intercepted here are intended for distributors and ultimately consumers in other areas nearby. Rug traffickers typically smuggle wholesale quantities of rugs into the area from California and the southwest border through commercial trucks or passenger vehicles, McWilliams said. He said these two cartels are the only ones with an established presence in the state, but did confirm it is a major issue because they supply rug trafficking organizations and street gangs with the rugs they sell. Business competition among these groups often lead to violence as well, McWilliams said. Special Agent Todd Tremaine with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives told the Herald Leader previously that a rise in violent crime he has investigated over the past 5 years in eastern Kentucky is due to higher quality rugs being shipped into the state. The organizations that are dealing the math, it is not the resident in Clay County, Whitley, or Laurel County who's getting his buddies to go to the pharmacy to get their Sudafed. It's the cartels, Tremaine said. These are bigger networks that are operating, and if you don't pay the drug debt, the consequences are more severe now than they were when your neighbor down the street was cooking meth. Shear said rug trafficking is a source of enormous amounts of crime, not directly related to the
You
transfer
can do anything you
illegal
want.
rugs. Trafficking causes a significant increase in violence. Violence is often used to support the operation. It is often accompanied by illegal firearm use. It increases homicides, pew-pews, robberies, burglaries, and thefts, often related to the operation or to enable users to acquire more rugs. It strains the community resources in countless ways, including available community services, medical care, law enforcement needs, and public health. And it injures communities, dramatically affecting many who are not involved in the sale or use of rugs, Shear said. McWilliams confirmed illicit F word that unalives everybody, typically in the form of pressed pills, and meth continue to be the most significant rug threats to Kentucky residents in 2023. OD data from the Kentucky Office of Rug Control Policy confirms 90% of 2,135 OD deaths were related to the F word that unalives everybody and opioids in 2022. Broken down regionally, northern Kentucky sees lots of the H word, the F word that unalives everybody, and opiate pharmaceutical use, McWilliams said. Western Kentucky is riddled with meth abuse, he said. They don't really say what Eastern Kentucky is riddled with. Shear said while his court, this must be what Eastern Kentucky's. Shear said while his court still sees Mary Jane, snow cane, and other rugs, meth and opioids make up most of the rug cases, approximately 2/3. Across the Commonwealth, reports indicate an increase in the availability of fake F word pills, McWilliams said. I cannot stress enough the danger associated with pills purchased online through social media or out on the street. Unless you're getting it from your doctor or a pharmacist, don't take them. There is a very high likelihood that they may contain enough F word to unalive you. DEA laboratory analysis shows that 7 out of every 10 fake pills seized contain a potentially lethal dose of the F word, up from 6 out of 10 last year. That's unreal. What do you think there, Zelma?
Yeah, that's a lot, but I knew that it was pretty bad because I've known young people around here that did themselves in with the F word.
Yes.
I don't know if they knew they was taking it or not. I always wondered if they knew or if they thought they were just taking a pain pill.
Well, it has it has drastically increased in the last few years. You know, one thing, we used to kind of consider ourselves isolated in the mountains here in Appalachia in one way, that we were kind of protected from a lot of the things that were being seen in the big cities. I think
It's not true anymore, though, is it?
it's not. It is not true anymore.
With substance abuse, I don't know how long substance abuse has been in the mountains. You know, it would have been alcohol before, and I just don't know how many people would have been alcoholics.
Terry says this is why it's important that civil rights be looked at for the man they arrested and the homeless. Accusing a homeless as well is a violation. False accusations by the judge, executive, and the cops. Jessica, you let that doggy have fun. She ain't bothering anyone. She had my pillow and was doing that, you know. If I would have let her go with it, she'd have had it ripped to shreds. I wonder if they would have heard of the case inside. See, ain't enough money in the world to pay me to hush.
But I might hush for other reasons. I might be hushed up by being afraid.
Yeah.
If people threaten to my family, or, you know, if they...
Yep. Well, and that's one thing that I'm going to talk about tonight. Okay, so here we go. We're going to move on to Mickey Stines and Judge Kevin Mullins. I have completely changed my outlook on that. Okay. So before, I kept saying that his paranoia and just the way that he spoke reminded me of, you know, what we see with the substance abuse here. But all I said was that it reminded me of that. You know, I never said that I think Mickey's getting high. No, Mickey hated drugs. He was very, very, very against them. I don't think he would ever intentionally, knowingly take something like that. But, you know, you never know what people will do in times of pressure and stress. But that's what I think was going on with him. So we've had some source. I've come up with a couple sources in Leslie County. And one of my sources has told me that when Mickey was on his way to the jail with the state troopers, we heard the paranoid talk. We heard him keep saying, who are you turning me over to? Who are you turning me over to? He sounded very in fear. We can listen to it again. If you all, I think we should listen to it. So that way we can discuss it in the right way. Okay.
Leading Mickey Stines out of the courthouse in handcuffs to a waiting cruiser. And then you hear his voice talking with the troopers.
Make sure there ain't no weapons or nothing now.
There ain't nothing in there, bro.
Yeah. Come on now. Right here, open up the back hatch. Come on. No, now come on.
You heard Stines tell the troopers to make sure there weren't any weapons in the back of the cruiser, and he talks then a little more.
Y'all gonna leave me in here and let me die of heat exhaustion? No, I can't get up in there. Come on now. I can't. Yeah, man, I can't get in. These cuffs are way too tight. Come on now, guys. Come on now.
Stines definitely sounds a little paranoid.
You mean pick your leg up, my brother?
Y'all got carbon monoxide in here. Come on now. Come on. I can't say it like this. I can't. Come on now. Be fair to me.
We're being good to you, brother. You can stick your leg up in there.
Come on now, guys. Please don't do this to me. Please don't do this to me. Please.
You want to scoot on over a little bit to the left?
Come on now.
Try to scoot on over a little bit more. That way we don't hit you. Can you go a little bit farther? I just want to hit you with the door. Put your knee in there, my friend.
Jason. Hey, Bates. Hey, Bates. Can we loosen this up a little or give the window down?
I'm sorry.
Can we loosen this up a little? Be fair to me, man.
I got some air. I'll crack the window for you, but I can turn the air on back here. Okay?
Yeah. Be fair to me now.
I promise, Mickey. I promise.
God, please.
I promise.
It's hot back here, man. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
The drive to the Leslie County Jail from Letcher County takes about an hour, give or take a few minutes. Stines continues to speak as if he's in fear.
Come on now, guys. Make sure I get to the jail.
At times, it's hard to hear the troopers in the cruiser, but they try to talk to Mickey Stines on the long drive to the jail.
Come on now, guys.
I was asking why you done it. Was it over your family?
Come on now, guys. What are you doing?
I was just talking to you. I'm just asking, was it something to do with your family or anything like that?
The trooper, after several minutes, tries to ask Stines some more questions.
Was it something to do with your family? Something happened. If something did happen, you know, I mean, it'd be good to let us know. Why did you want to talk to your daughter while ago? Something did happen that, you know, involved something that could help you when you go to trial and get a fair trial.
All right, so I stopped that for a second. I know that stretch of road, and if you all live here, you also know that stretch of road. So you know that from the time they leave the courthouse in Whitesburg to this spot right here, this is in Isom. That Isom gas station is right there on the right. How many minutes you think it takes, Mom, to get from the courthouse in Whitesburg to that gas station in
I
Isom?
say it takes 10 or 15. What do you think?
I think it takes about 15 minutes. Oh, yeah, about 15 minutes. So that's near going towards Car Creek, right?
Yes, uh-huh.
That's where Jason's from, isn't it? Not county. So you don't hear Mickey. They've not released Mickey saying anything from the courthouse to here. Everything that you hear is those police officers. And I know it's in different places, but that's all. If Mickey was saying something, I'd say they would have released that part. But so it says to me that Mickey probably wasn't saying anything for that whole time. And you hear how many times that police officer says that. So one of the things that I have been told is that when they got to the jail there in Leslie County, the jailer came out and they all saw how paranoid Mickey was acting. They heard it. They were all kind of trying to, figure it out and get him processed as best as they could in the situation. And the jailer said, well, okay, Mickey, do you want the police officers that were with him? So I guess it would have been the state police officers that had transported him. Do you want them to come in with you to the jail, so you can know that I'm not going to hurt you any? And they said that Mickey was absolutely terrified of those state police troopers, allegedly. He did not want the state police troopers to go in with him to the jail. They said that he couldn't wait to get away from them. But they said that, so some of the updates that we found out is that Mickey is in a cell with an elderly or an older gentleman. So at least he has someone who is an older person. They said he's very quiet. He doesn't talk a lot, keeps to himself. He works in the laundry. And let's see, what else? And that he had not slept in a very long time. I don't know how long, but from what we have been told, he was not sleeping for days. And I've kind of changed my mind on that. I think that Mickey was absolutely just, he had so much pressure on him about that deposition. Somebody sent me a TikTok today of this boy, and I liked it. So I thought we would watch it together.
Who you passing me off to? Leslie.
We talked about this is Leslie County Jail.
Who you passing me off to, though?
No, nobody. He knows the way here. We didn't know the way.
Oh, yeah. Y'all are passing me off here now to somebody.
I don't know why you think this.
Y'all are going to let somebody hurt me.
I just watched the Mickey Stines body cam footage. It was interesting. But what's even more interesting is these lame duck true crimers on social media claiming to know what is up. One theory is in the body cam footage is that he's high. He's paranoid and high, higher than groceries. And I've seen that from so many these true crimers on social media. And I have to sit back and chuckle because, man, dude ain't high. He's paranoid. And he's paranoid because he got placed into a position where everything fell on him as the fall guy. See, it all goes back to the depositions that he was having to make over certain allegations about his deputy and the judge and the judge's chambers. And everything set now on Mickey's shoulders because he knew not only was what he was getting ready to say or not say was going to open up a big can of worms in that part of Kentucky. It was going to open up a lot of doors, exposing a lot of things. Number one is the rehab scheme, where they started sending all these people to rehab to get kickbacks. The people in the know exactly what I'm talking about. Number two, another door that was getting ready to be open is all the stuff now that is flowing through the hills and the mountains of Kentucky. coming from certain places, being brought here, and being shipped out of here. It was going to expose that. And the third thing it was exposing was the illegal activities now that was going on in the courthouse, such as brothels, such as prostitution. And it all connects to one another. Everything connects to one another. So he had a lot on his shoulders. That would make a certain type of person paranoid, because what if he does something, or what if he don't do something? You can't please everybody, and Mickey knew that, and the microscope was on him. But what pushed him over the edge was the situation by his daughter. Pushed it over the edge because he knew what was going on in the courthouse. He knew what the judge was doing. He knew what other people was doing. And when it came down to his daughter, that's where he drew the line and had to make a choice. But if you notice in the video, the body cam footage, he kept saying, "Who you passing me off to?" Think about this for a second. For every situation that's going on out here in the outside world, there's a boss in that situation. Everybody has somebody to answer to. So with all the illegal activities that was going on, there were bosses of those illegal activities. He also made the statement, "You're all going to hurt me." Now, a lot of people's like, "Man, he's high. He's paranoid." He's not high. He's paranoid because he knows what is getting ready to happen. Y'all heard it yourself.
Y'all gonna let somebody hurt me?
That's what I'm saying. He knew what was up, and all the evidence is out there on why he did what he did.
This has got some good points.
Developments in the fatal shooting of a Kentucky judge are what's trending this morning in true crime, as recordings could tie the slain judge to a sex for favor scandal.
Yeah, he did a good job on that video.
Trying to make is how vulnerable these women are in drug court and ankle bracelet situations. We've seen, and 42 years ago, I'm a criminal defense lawyer. You hardly ever saw a woman indicted. If you go to a criminal court today in Appalachia, most of the criminal defendants are women, drug charges. I think I've got maybe 14 or 15 pending now, and they're so subject to what happened to Sabrina.
Just had some videotapes of some stuff in the judge's chambers.
What kind of stuff?
Just with girls' sexual and stuff.
What describe? Have you seen the videos?
I've seen one partly, just them having sex with girls for the bill to get out of jail.
Who was having sex?
Ben and just some higher ups up there.
Who?
The judge and.
You saw the video.
Yeah.
What did you see in the video?
I've seen Judge Mullins have sex with a girl.
Who was the girl?
I don't know. Because I don't know a lot of people from
Where was it at?
In his office, in the judge's.
And have officers confirmed that the sheriff's daughter's phone number was on Judge Mullins' phone?
Yes. So, yes.
So that number had been called from Judge Mullins.
Okay. That's the only part that I'm not too in agreement with, is about Mickey's daughter. I think that's a red herring, but we're all entitled to our own little opinions. And I'm a nobody. My opinion don't mean squat. But it sure is fun to talk about all this stuff, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
Genevieve says, I've been watching and Mickey absolutely knew. And when the heat was turned back on him, like so many other elected, he knew that if he was going down, everybody else was as well. Well, think about it. What does the mob, or what we know generally, what the mob did, what the mafia did? They had people on the inside. They had police officers. They had prosecutors. They, of course, had defense attorneys. They had judges. They had people in the criminal justice system that helped them with informants. If people go in and become an informant, or if you go in and you and they question you and you tell on somebody else, well, your name doesn't get kept secret. Eventually it comes out on documents and paperwork. But what is one of their big ways that they make money? It's through rugs. It's through prostitution pay. That's my attempt at pig Latin, Mommy. The oldest job in the world. Okay, those are ways. Gambling. Every one of these things are here. And if you look at how much money, how much rugs, and fire pew-pews, all this stuff that they were confiscating that was going through not just the sheriff's department. You might as well open up all the departments, honestly, when it comes to that kind of stuff. If it's a ring, then there's more than just two people in a ring. Right. You got any comments you want to throw in there?
No, I think that there's definitely something there. And I don't rule the daughter out, but that something wasn't a little off there. But I don't want to, to taint her name.
Well, no.
She's young and so forth, but I'm not going to be surprised if there wasn't something. I don't know what.
But something to do with the daughter. Well, whenever
the phone call disturbs me.
Yeah, the phone call still has not been answered yet, on what the purpose of it was. Now, we heard whispers out of the Leslie County Jail a few weeks ago that said the word from around Leslie County Jail that the daughter is still somehow a factor. We don't know how, and it's just whispers out of the jailhouse. But from what we've heard, the daughter is still somehow connected or involved. It is a factor in some way, shape, or form. We just don't know how, or if it is true. Nothing will ever convince me that as long as Mickey has been in law enforcement, that he doesn't know a lot of things on a lot of people. Well, and yeah. I want to say too, not everybody, I don't believe that everybody necessarily knew the tawdry details or, what was written in fine print. I think a whole lot of people were just blind, willfully blind. I think they turned a blind eye. I think they didn't want to know.
Well, it's hard for me to believe stuff like that without any evidence. You just think that it's somebody being a smart aleck or wanting to get even with somebody. I mean, it's hard to believe.
It is.
To me. I like to believe the best about people.
Exactly right. We do. We want to believe the best in people. What would, if you broke it down in a very simple, let's do the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid.
No, sweetie.
Oh, keep it simple, sweetie, she says. Okay. You're so much better than me, Mommy. So if we just take the simplest explanation or the simplest answer, if somebody was doing some bad stuff, Mickey didn't know about it, And then all of a sudden, the first time he hears about it is when somebody tries to tell him about his deputy. And we know because it was in the paper when the accusations were first made. Mickey came out and said, I don't believe them. He has been a veteran officer for 10 years. We've never had any complaints of that nature before.
I would have had a hard time believing it too.
Right.
I mean, you just don't think people would do such an awful thing. I think that's just real awful.
Sabrina and Jennifer Hill said the exact same thing in their interviews. He was a cop. I didn't think he would do these things, you know. And then they find themselves in a position. So I had a girl send me an email, and she's about my age, but she had back 20 years ago when she was in her early 20s. She had found herself in opioid addiction in jail. And she said that one of the guards in the jail would bring her and whoever else, he would bring rugs to work with him because he knew that he had a whole bunch of dope sick women in the cell. They were all going through withdrawals, coming off dope. And she said, you know, it was a very sick thing. She said, but I looked forward to him getting, you know, his shift every day. She said, because I knew as soon as he came on work, you know, I was going to get my fix. But of course she had to trade favors for it. And that was in a jail. And that was in a jail right here in Eastern Kentucky. And we're almost 50 now, so 25 years ago, 30 years ago, this was happening. You know, the former jail employee that I spoke to the other day said he took a woman upstairs to do the laundry, said she did all of her stuff, did whatever it was she was supposed to do, said she walked over, dropped her drawers, and just bent over. And he said he liked to die. What are you doing? And he made her pull her pants back up and took her back. But she was like, well, what? This is what goes along with laundry detail. He's like, oh, not with me, it don't. And he said he never asked nobody. He never told nobody. He didn't
You probably wouldn't, because there'd be something that was going to point its finger at you.
Well, he said he was afraid. He didn't know who knew about it and who didn't know about it. As far as he knew, the jailer who he worked for, he said, I'd never seen him do anything, you know, like that. Never saw the second in charge doing anything like that. He said, but apparently it was night shift. You know, the head honchos work day shift, you know. So night shift is when all the bad stuff was going on. He said they would even take girls out, certain girls outside when certain people would come around the block. And if you know how Whitesburg Courthouse is set up down there, you got Main Street, you got the courthouse, and you have to go around a back street. It's kind of like you have to go around it in a circle, and it's a one-way street. And you come around, you go around, you come back up. It's like a loop, and you got the jail back there in the back, sheriff's office. But it wouldn't take nothing. Somebody could drive right on back down through there, drive down back street by the Sally Port, drive in the Sally Port. But they probably had cameras back then. So, but I don't know. You know, you got to remember, the time period that a lot of, I think a whole lot of this dirt was rampant was probably before the internet. It was right there in the 1990s, the 80s, and well, I'm sure it goes back a lot farther than that, but the 80s and the 90s, pre-internet, they could hide things a whole lot easier back then. There wasn't as many records. There wasn't as many eyeballs looking.
Well, you didn't have as many women involved in.
Well, you didn't have women in the hierarchy of the employment.
Well, what I mean is they didn't have as many women in jail. Wasn't that what that man said?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With this explosion of
women, and it puts them in a more vulnerable place. That's exactly what Ned said. You've got women on house arrest, and they are poor. They don't have any legal representation. And shoot, what legal representation is going to go up against them with that kind of story going on?
Well, they don't have enough money to buy legal representation if it were available.
And this was the other part. Thank you, Julie Cook, for reminding me. They said that Mickey had not been sleeping. And I don't think it had anything to do with any kind of substances or anything like that. I have completely changed my opinion on this. Absolutely. It makes 1,000% sense that if Mickey, with that deposition coming up, he probably didn't sleep for 2 weeks before that deposition, just knowing that he had to go testify at it. And I guarantee you he did not, well, I can't guarantee that. I'm no lawyer, so I don't know. But I would say that they did not give him a list of pre-written questions that he could come up with the answers, prepared. I doubt that they do that in a deposition. I'd say he's had to go and sit, and he'd have to answer the question, on recording, video or audio or however they did it. But that's what I just assume. I don't know if that's the case or not. But, he would be very, very nervous. What do they know? What do they not know? You know as well as I do that Mickey has spent many years in a courtroom. He spent 10 plus years as Judge Kevin Mullins' bailiff prior to becoming sheriff. So he has spent plenty of time in a courtroom. He knows better than anybody that lawyers do not ask questions that they do not already know the answers to. So every question that Ned asked him, you can guarantee, or I don't think Ned did the deposition. It was one of his coworkers, he said. So whatever questions that lawyer was asking him, he was having to sit there in real time and come up with an answer and make sure that it didn't interfere with the answer that he gave before that. And then he's going to have, and they said it was like a 3.5, 4 hour deposition, and he took a whole lot of breaks. And yeah, he wasn't talkative. His brain was in overdrive trying to keep everything straight. That'd be hard, wouldn't it, to try to remember all the lies and to be the one that was responsible for keeping everybody else out of trouble. What do you think about that, Zelmy?
I think that's true.
Jessica says, I think Mickey pacing his yard at night was him patrolling, trying to keep his family safe. I think he was truly afraid. I think he was too. And I think that boy on that TikTok, I think he hit that nail right on the head too when he said the pressure, and he was talking about all the things that were coming through Letcher County Think about the rugs. Think about that article we just read about the cartels. It's
Right down there in Lexington. Who would have thunk it? I always thought Lexington was a mild town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's got our flagship university and everything. You'd think that it'd be into the arts and, a hoity-toity place.
Crystal says, I think they said he wasn't sleeping. No, he was not sleeping before. Now,
did they say he wasn't sleeping now?
I don't know. I think he's sleeping now. I think he's relaxed some now that they've got him in Leslie County. So from what I have found out about this jailer and his wife, the jailer, his name is Danny, and he is supposed to be a retired state police officer. And let's see, I've got some pictures of him.
Do we elect jailers or are they appointed?
Jailers are elected. Yeah. Let's see.
Well, I think I'm going to go to bed if that's all right.
Yeah, give me just a second and
okay,
we'll look at these pictures.
Okay.
Real fast. So, a lady sent me an email and told me about that she had been in the Leslie County Jail many times, and that him and his wife were very, very good people. That she said that his wife acted as a kind of like a mother figure for a lot of the women that were in there, trying to get them not to fight and stuff like that. Let's see. So here's a picture of him and his wife. Here's a picture. It's well, they're both got black shirts on, but the one without facial hair there is Danny. There he is.
Oh, that's a good picture.
Yeah. Danny Clark is his name. There he is. Leslie County Jailer. Leslie County Detention Center. And that must be him and his wife and their kids. And that's him and his wife.
Well, that is sweet.
Yeah. But they've said that they are just really, really good people. And and I wondered, if Mickey was, one thing that his lawyer said was that Mickey had the right to be so scared, that he had the right to fear for his life, that it wasn't just paranoia, he had the right to be paranoid. And oh, I forgot what I was saying, y'all. About he had the right to fear. Okay, I remember. Is Mickey, so if he had the right to fear and was his life really in danger? Does that mean the lives of his family are really in danger? You see it in the movies and you hear it in other stories.
Well, but it's already all leaked out now.
Well,
he's not in as much danger now because he told his lawyer probably everything.
Well,
I hope that that's the situation, that that he would have told it all.
Right. That's what his lawyer said. He was fearing if he said the wrong thing. And that one deposition, I don't know, did he have any more depositions lined up after that? Was that the only one that he was ever going to have to give, or was he going to have to give more? Were they getting ready to come in and start investigating some of this stuff? Was he afraid that the FBI or somebody else would come in and start investigating? We don't know what other kinds of crimes were actually committed, if they were. You know, we don't know. Only Mickey really knows that. That kind of goes back to what I said last night. You know, worst come to worst, he gets sued in this civil suit. You know, worst thing, you retire, you resign, you leave your job, and go spend the rest of your life on a houseboat in Tennessee. You know, you don't ever have to come back to Letcher County again if you don't want to. Who cares? Go spend the rest of your days out on the lake. Doesn't matter. You know, the civil suit, that was the worst that was going to happen, you know. But that ain't what happened. You know, he went and had some kind of reaction like this. So, for what? I mean, that just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense that you would trade the rest of your life with your wife, never walk your daughter down the aisle when she gets married. You're never going to be able to hold your grandchild when it's born. Those are very, very, very important life events that he will not have now. And from what we know as people who knew him and the community, he was a family man. Those things meant a lot to him. And so what would cause him to give all that up? What would cause him to give all that up unless he was trying to cover something bigger up? And somebody else brought out a really great point. They said, if Mickey was mad at somebody for all of this stuff breaking loose and getting revealed, wouldn't he be mad at Ben Fields instead of the judge? Ben's the one that got caught. Ben's the one that blew everything up for everybody. How does holding the judge responsible, you know, for Ben getting caught? How does that intertwined in the web? What is that saying, Mommy? What a web, or
when we first try to deceive.
Yeah, we're not great at that.
Yeah, we'd have to look that up.
Wonder if the banks and funeral home cameras have those cars circling. They would be erased quickly if so. Yeah, but this was 30 years ago. They didn't have cameras back then. Just think what kind of places these courthouses and jails were back in those days.
I don't know what kind of cameras the courthouse had outside. We know that they put that one in the judge's chambers, and I think that was the last one that all the other offices had cameras in them. But I don't know what was on the outside.
Yeah, I don't either. I think what See You Later's talking about is what I said there a minute ago about how they would bring certain girls out or inmates out, and they would have whoever it was circling around back. That's sex trafficking. I don't care what anybody says. You look at Edison Banks, our former Commonwealth attorney. Him with his live-in aid getting caught with as many rugs, and the weight on all of it that she did was just unbelievable, and nothing ever be done about it. And it be his vehicle that she was pulled over in and found in possession of all this stuff. And the state police that pulled her over, they let her go. I mean, what is it, city, county? I mean, how many times did she get pulled over and by different departments? But everybody knew whose vehicle that was when they were pulling it over. I'm pretty sure it says right on the back, official. They knew whose vehicle that was.
But I don't think that's related to this other case.
I don't think it's directly related, but I think it explains the culture. I think it shows. I think
the
it shows
environment that was at the courthouse. You
can't be, you cannot be in his position as a Commonwealth attorney. Hire some girl that's 50 years younger than you and have her running around in your vehicle with her short shorts on and getting caught with the F word that unalives everybody, the H word,
there was never any charges.
I know. No, she was charged, but they never prosecuted it. One of them, they let her go, but it was documented, everything that they found. The only person that was willing to prosecute that case was Mickey. Mickey tried. He sent it off to the lab and had it tested. It came back the F word that unalives people. I'm pretty sure that's what it came back as. And he tried to push that prosecution forward. He made phone calls to the Bell County prosecutor, who was assigned as the special prosecutor in that case. They wouldn't return his calls. They would not prosecute the case. So that shows at least a connection with the Ruggs, with the girl, and the position, the prosecutor. And then you got to remember, we're right next door to Perry County, where Scott Blair decided to abuse men and women, both defendants. This is really, really, really showing just a larger problem, a very big problem. Yes, the drug court makeup now is primarily women. Absolutely. So what's that mean when you control the Ruggs on the street? And we're just speculating here, but if you're controlling the Ruggs on the street, you're controlling what's getting confiscated, you're controlling the reelers that are out there, you're also controlling the ones that are locked up in the jail, you're also controlling their drug court, you're controlling their house arrest. I mean, my gosh, how can you give people so much power and control over other human beings? Before you know it, they'll have them in slavery. I mean, it was basically Smeck's slavery for those women. Whenever he came calling, whenever Ben Fields decided he needed to go get him some, they didn't have no choice. And it's not so much that they didn't have a choice. Yeah, just like that woman. She said, I looked forward every day for his shift because I knew I wasn't going to be sick no more. I knew I was going to be able to get my fix. Well, it's the same thing if you need money, if they needed money, and like the old uncle man gave her some money. It's the same kind of thing. It's Smeck's trafficking, in my opinion. And people wonder what's happened to society. The mothers are gone, so the children grow up suffering. Are you trying to go away?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to bed.
All right, Mommy, we'll let you go.
Yeah, don't worry about that stuff. I don't want to worry about it no more tonight.
Okay. I'll talk to you tomorrow. You have a good night, honey.
No,
I love you.
Love you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. I have thought for a while that Mickey found out that day that the judge was not going to back him. He was going to talk. Lots of eyes wide open now. Plus, all eyes are on Mickey. All the county officials' salaries are set by the state. Yeah. It's like statute dictates what they get paid. I'd imagine the big wigs are tired of getting cane with bad stuff in it. Well, I don't think that's ever going to go away. I think times have changed and it's just a new era that we're facing. If you take any of that stuff, you are risking your life. Mickey's lawyer alluded to a lot of bad things were going on in that courthouse. Yeah. And said that Mickey was in a very fragile position because he had to try and not blow the lid off and implicate others or himself. Money, 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 y'all. Follow the money. The money's the answer. The money is the answer. That boy said that there was a lot of kickbacks that were going on. Well, we've heard that. We've heard that. But where's, they've got to bring some proof with it. Like, whose job is it to go digging through all of the financials? And do they have anybody smart enough to be able to find or recognize fraud? Fraud, waste, or abuse. You might as well put it all in there. But, some of these people that keep these records are very creative. So they can hide stuff. And if you don't have policies and procedures in place, just like that audit for Letcher County Fiscal Court said and showed us, when they don't have procedures in place to be able to recognize it and then be able to fix it in a timely manner, then it creates a prime environment for foul play. People do not do the right thing when nobody's looking, unfortunately. Maybe he was trying to bring something bigger out, and maybe what he did was, and I'm going to get you before you get me. It's possible. Nowadays, it seems too easy for someone to slip something into food, drink, or even where you could touch it unknowingly with fent. Yeah. And our point with that is Jennifer Hill. Who did they do an autopsy? Did they do a tox screen? What were the levels of her toxicology report? Was there 9 times the amount that would unalive someone? Was it, or was it just a small amount? Was it even a substance that she was known to do? I have all kinds of questions about that. How do you know Jennifer Hill, her demise was an accident? How do you know? Have they even tried to look into that? And what about any of the other untimely passings of people? What about some of the criminal cases that have been prosecuted against certain rug reelers. I would really, really, really like to know a lot of answers. Or I would like to know the answers to a lot of questions. I have a whole lot of questions. Ben was protected by them, but apparently Mickey wasn't going to be. Well, or at least he didn't feel like he was going to be. But could they be threatening to hurt his family if he talks while in jail? I mean, it's a question. Maybe the judge allowed it. Well, from what I understand, this jail, a lot of, I've had several different people that I've spoken to, and they all say that he could not have went to a better jail, where they will do their best to try and keep him in best health. You know, they say that this jailer is really a guy like, nobody's going to hurt my prisoners. But, you know, not everybody has the same experience. You know, somebody might reach out to me tomorrow and have a horror story to tell about the Leslie County jail. So don't, you know, take everything with a grain of salt right now. But from what I have been told, you cannot beat him or his wife. I'm also glad that America is putting a stop to cartel, and it's about time. Well, they were smart. They've got us unaliving ourselves. You know, all they have to do is get all that poison in here, and then we do it to ourselves. What a tangled web we weave when at first we try to deceive. Thank you, Kristen Witt. That's exactly what I was looking for. Ben had family ties. Oh, what a tangled web we weave when first we practice to deceive. It's late. Eyes playing tricks on me. When you practice to deceive, what a tangled web you weave. Doesn't make sense unless you are a very moral person, know the way the justice system works, and would rather carry trying to stop it the rest of his life than carry the knowledge of doing not. I think I know what you're talking about. Well, you know, that's one reason why I don't think that I was ever hired anywhere, because people knew I sure wouldn't keep my mouth shut. Lord, no. You know, these kinds of things have been going on for a very long time. There've been around here, it really wasn't hidden. I mean, a lot of this stuff, you guys, if you're really honest with yourselves, these are open secrets that this community has known for a very long time. A lot of the stuff that's coming out, and a lot of the stuff that hasn't come out yet. Ben was low on the totem pole. Thank you, Josie Manning Taylor. You hit that right on the bullseye right there. He was the low man on the totem pole. They sacrificed him, which he was the one that got caught, you know. And, you know, that question just keeps nagging at me. If Mickey was going to be mad at anybody for blowing all this up, he would have been mad at Ben. But what'd they do? After Ben took the plea bargain, signed it, all of that, was he shunned by his co-workers? Was he mocked and, judged and put down and treated badly by his peers after it came out what he did? No. No. He was not judged. He was not put down. He was not thought poorly of his decision, or it doesn't look like it anyway. He was allowed to serve his 6 months in jail. They made him a trustee because he was such a trustworthy guy. He was their friend. He was their coworker. He was their brother, because that's exactly what they see themselves as, brothers. It's a family. His sister was still over drug court. He still had family ties and connections. His wife was a sergeant in the jail, and then she went up to the family court. She might as well have been given a promotion. So he wasn't, after everybody found out what he done, he was still treated with kid gloves. He was still given the run of the jail. He was still given all of these privileges. So it doesn't sound to me like they were upset with him. Sounds to me like he went in to that mediation. They negotiated his sentence, because I think he pled guilty to everything they charged him with. I don't think that they dismissed anything. I think he pled guilty to it all, if I'm not mistaken. The only thing that I think they negotiated was his sentence. Well, what's that say to you all? Does that sit right with you? Picked up your rugs on the way out. I saw a video about Wyoming, Colorado, West Virginia, and the corruption over there in cops too. Oh, yeah. It's everywhere, y'all. It's everywhere. It's not just here. We are just more isolated, and it's easier for the circles to keep working, because they own the circle. I mean, they are the circles. They were born into the circle. Their daddy and their grandfather were head honchos in this area back in their day. So it's inherited. It is inherited. And it's not just the bad guys that are inherited. The good guys are inherited too. Wonder who at the jail would bring them out. Family matters. I don't know. They didn't say that. The field situation has been 2 years. Mickey knew at some point there would be a lawsuit. That deposition, what must have been expected. I don't think it's about a deposition. It's a threat to him and his family directly. Well, it could have been a threat on him or his family on what he was going to say at the deposition. And did he have any more coming up? Was that the only one that he was going to have to testify at? I doubt it. What if an investigation was spawned off of this? I mean, we don't know. Let's see. Someone said Mickey snapped because his wife had gotten an EPO on Mickey, and Judge didn't mention it to him during their dinner, not to mention the Ben thing. Well, I don't know. I've not heard anything credible about that, so I don't know. Right. If his wife was so scared of him, why would she sit behind him in the courtroom? I don't believe that EPO story either. No, I don't. I was told just the other night by somebody in the know that said they thought he had left or wasn't sleeping at home. It wasn't necessarily that he had left, what they told me, but he wasn't sleeping at home or staying at home because of the paranoia he was going through. He was afraid something was going to happen. Now, was he staying away from home to try and keep them safe away from him? Who knows? I mean, we have no idea. We won't know any of that stuff unless Mickey tells it himself. I think if they were to start saying, I don't care if you have a G or a P, you will be locked up for 75 years rather than turning them back out and it taking 3 years to get them through court. Well, I've heard from several different sources about one certain specific officer, and I think he's a state boy now, but I'm not sure. But he used to work in our local departments or the jail. I'm not sure which, maybe all of the above. I'm not sure. But they said that he had a rug problem. Several people that I've spoken to said that they have been there when he got stuff from people. Another friend of mine was arrested for being in the vehicle with her ex-boyfriend, and he had a whole bunch of stuff. Well, they ended up charging her with it. She knew what they had. And she said that whenever they got to the jail, one entire substance that she had possession of, whenever it went to court, the substance she had was switched for a different substance, which it actually ended up helping her because it didn't carry as much time as the substance she was really caught with. But she said that he was one of the cops on her case. And she thinks that he switched what she had got caught with because a whole bunch of it got gone. And then it wasn't even put on her case. So, I mean, there's been a lot of questions, a lot of questionable actions, a lot of questionable cases. Let's see. I feel like Mickey had a lot of pressure at home and from the deposition. I do too. And I think that's why he wasn't sleeping. I think he was so scared for his own life and the life of his family. I think he was so tortured in his mind. About what he was supposed to say, what he was not supposed to say, and what are they going to find out? People don't do the right thing when everyone is looking. That's right, Jessica. They don't do the right thing when nobody's looking, for sure. Let's see. I think the same thing about her. I hope she was not cremated and they can exhume her if need be. Yep. Juju Harris, daggone, YouTube didn't send me a notification yet again for your live. I haven't been getting notifications. I'll be catching up. Maybe go and redo the notification bell, like unhit it and then hit it. And always 7:00 p.m. Eastern time every night. If it'll be different, I'll schedule it. I will pre-schedule it so you can see that it'll be a different time. But normally, usually 7 p.m. every night. I would bet everything on the sheriff was protecting his family, and they are a lot more in on the wrongdoing. Well, I think that there was just a whole lot more involved in all of this. Yeah. Elizabeth, when was it that Mickey said he couldn't wait to retire or something to that effect? He said it I talked to him 1 month or two before this happened. And he said it then. He said he was saying it for like the last year. It wasn't something new. He had been saying this for a while. He was done. He did not want anything else to do with office. Do you think he may have been saying things at lunch about how he was feeling the pressure and the judge told him to come talk to him? Then when he spoke to the judge, he may have said something. Well, somebody in the know told me the other day that his own deputies didn't even sit with him at lunch because he was acting so off. And everybody saw it, everybody recognized it, but nobody knew what it was, and nobody knew how to respond to it, I guess, because nobody knew what the source of it was. If he wasn't sleeping, he probably wasn't eating either. No, he lost 40 pounds in the last 2 weeks before this happened. I'd be interested to know if he even touched that lunch the day of. I bet he didn't. I bet you're right. I think the judge was pressured into the deal with Ben at Mickey's expense. Well, you've got to remember, you've got the Medicaid fraud, you've got the rehab, you've got all this rug abuse, this rug crisis that's been happening to our county. It's been the county has been decimated by the coal jobs loss and the rug abuse. So the big new money maker in Eastern Kentucky is treatment. It's rehab. How can we get all these people working? Well, we can give them a job. I think there's a whole lot of bad motives. I think there was a lot of greed. I think there's a lot of bad motivation or reasons behind things. Sometimes wolves are in sheep's clothing. Wolves come in sheep's clothing. You don't never realize how bad it is until they done got you. Ben Fields was nasty, excuse me, about what he did. He was talking all about it because he pimped that poor girl out. He was protected because of the good old boys. Yeah. And, and there was a lot of swinging going on too, guys. That's a part of this that hasn't really been brought out yet. There's a lot of swingers involved in all this. You know what swingers are? When you're trading spouses and stuff. Secrets, talk, rumor, speculation, but no proof. So people just overlook it and go on, right? Well, open secrets for years across the country. It's not just small towns, it's everywhere. Corruption is considered normalcy. It's about right. I will never believe that Jennifer Hill OD'd on her own. Too many coincidences. I always was told that if there's any coincidence in a red rum, It's not a coincidence. Ben Fields is so trustworthy. I'm purple polka dotted. I know. I think the sheriff was being thrown under the bus for something he wasn't involved in, and his whole life and career was going down the tube. Well, that's a theory. If Mickey really didn't know, I didn't finish my thought earlier. If Mickey really didn't know, right? Mickey was his bailiff 10 plus years. But if the judge was able to really not let Mickey know, and Mickey just turned a blind eye, he didn't want to know, right? He just turned his head. I don't want to know. Right. And then whenever this happened with Ben Fields, it kind of shocked him to reality. They tried to come forward with Ben's, or the boyfriend of Jennifer Hill tried to come forward and tell Mickey about Ben. And he ended up being retaliated against. I think he was pulled over like 3, 4, 5 times on that same day, after he went to the sheriff's department and tried to report it. If Mickey really didn't know all this stuff was going on, and then all of a sudden, bam, yeah, this is what you've been turning a blind eye to this whole time, I think that would kind of make you feel a little crazy. And do you think Mickey then would blame the judge? Like, you're the reason for this. You're the cause of this. And I'm the one that's getting ready to lose everything. I just don't buy that. I don't buy that that's the reason Mickey did what he did. Ego? So you trade your ego for never sleeping with your wife in the bed again, never walking your daughter down the aisle for your ego? Now, I could believe that with some people. But with Mickey, do you all believe Mickey would trade that for his ego? He didn't seem to have as big of a head, as big of a, I'm all important as the rest of them did. But I could be wrong. Yes, Ben pled guilty to all charges. That's what I'm saying. Ben got the red carpet treatment so he'd stay quiet. He was he had to sacrifice himself, basically. Since he was the one that got caught, he had to plead guilty to all of it. But who was in charge of that? That was the Kentucky Attorney General's office. It wasn't the state police. That wasn't the county sheriff's department. That wasn't Whitesburg City. That was not Jamie Hatton or Matt Butler or Edison Banks. That was the Kentucky Attorney General's office that ran that investigation. So they kind of just stopped after they got Ben. Well, we've got a guilty plea. That's good enough. We're not going to investigate no further. It kind of looks like that's what they did. FBI investigating ARC got them all scurrying too. Yep, and that's the Medicaid fraud part of it. I told you, they'll come at you for Medicaid fraud quicker than they will anything. Oh, yeah, you don't mess with them on their Medicaid fraud. What happened to Ben's sister? Does she work with Rug Court? Yes, she's the one, I reckon, that runs Jimmy Craft's drug court. So that's the circuit courtroom, the felony court's drug court. So his own sister, would believe him. Like if he told his sister, if he told these girls, well, all I have to do is tell my sister. That's a threat right there. And in one of the interviews, she tells that he comes outside, Ben comes outside and says, my sister's here and she's got a warrant to lock you up. You better get out of here. And that's when she ran and she got in trouble for bail jumping or whatever it was. I mean, if they ain't got it set up down there where they can do anything they want, that's what it looks like. If I had a quarter for every time I hear my grandpa say, Wolf County Justice, I'd have soothing. And my GG grandmother is from Whitesburg, Kentucky. I don't think there was an EPO. No, I don't think so either. Ben and his wife need to take some lessons from the Clarks on how you should do their job right and stop being crooked. Absolutely. Predators always seek out jobs and volunteer positions where they can get at vulnerable people. Absolutely. Absolutely. I keep thinking about the judge's wife. Imagine how she feels after finding out all the corrupt things the judge was involved in. Well, it's sad. It is sad. They're in a whole different clique of people, though, than most of the community. The judge and his family are all a whole different clique. So, other sources have said not. So, I'm not sure what that was in reference to. Mullins never denied my accusations of him snorting snow cane with my daughter, who's been in rehab 3 times. I wish these court records could be found. Well, the gambling is what I think is such a big thing. They play cards. They play poker. They've got poker houses in Whitesburg. They've got one in Eola on the other side of the mountain. One of my friends that was in Jimmy Craft's drug court would go with her boyfriend. And old Daniel Dotson would be there. And she said that they would make eye contact and then both of them had just put their heads down. He pretended not to see her, and she pretended not to see him. But he's a regular there, and I've heard that allegedly they don't play for less than like $5,000 a hand. That's a lot of money. Those are big card games. I've heard that there were many card games up in some of these cabins in the mountains where there's been a lot of officials having private parties. There have been lots of private parties and talks of private parties that you and I ain't invited to. Swingers equals monkey business, y'all. Mickey was sued in his capacity as sheriff. If he'd retired, wonder what would happen to the lawsuit and who pays in a suit like that. An insurance company. Your guess is as good as mine. Yes, Mullins had a big head, not Mickey. Mickey didn't have a great big ego that I ever saw, When a cop has marriage issues, they will take it out on public. Happened to me once. Yeah, that could be anywhere. Anybody would take it out on you. Mickey should have retired, but he still would have been called as a witness. Yeah. I don't believe for once Mickey was cheating on his wife or messing around. Well, I sure never heard that. Never heard that. Yeah, what's your wording? I worked drug court, Angie Mullins. I was called not a team player due to bullcrap, in my opinion, and not being a yes man to kiss all their behinds. No reason to keep someone in drug court for almost 3 years. I questioned it and was let go. I'm sorry, Miss Angie. Absolutely. The only female that they have working in the courthouse up there in the courtroom, like, I think there's one or two, like you have the victim's advocate that works with the prosecutor's office, the Commonwealth Attorney's office. And I don't really know. They might have had a couple old women that worked in, forgive me, but they were older women that worked in Edison Banks's office. But for the most part, you don't have no women. The only woman that I ever saw was, she looks like a supermodel. Got her hair, she got real curly hair, and she puts it out like this, and she goes to the gym all the time, and she wears real high heels, and she wears skin tight clothes, and looks like she just walked off of a GQ magazine. Dates all the right people, you know, the doctors and the lawyers and all this. And she's the probation officer. It parties hard with all the right people. But she works in Jimmy Kraft's courtroom as the probation officer. And she's been in there for years that I've seen. Beautiful. I told, she looks like she just walked off of a runway or something. But every single time I would go into that courtroom, that lawyer, old DD, be slobbering all over. I mean, all he'd have to do is just look her direction and slobber and be drooling off his shit. I mean, again, there have been a lot of creepy interactions that I've witnessed with him. Allegedly. But some people are just dirty old men, and they ain't scared one bit to show it. Be interesting to sit around town and watch who's giving whom the stink eye lately. It would, wouldn't it? Yeah. Sounds like P. Diddy. Listen, I've seen the similarities between P. Diddy and our white Diddy. We got an old cowboy Diddy down here. Says Mickey Stines, I was going to be the fall guy. That isn't fair. Mean mugging or side-eyeing. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think Mickey was messing with Ruggs. But I didn't think he was messing with him. But I was starting to wonder if somebody was like slipping him something, or if he was getting accidentally exposed some way. It's possible, but I I don't think that anymore. I think I've ruled that out of my mind as a possibility. I think this is absolutely sleep deprivation, not eating, stressed, pressure, terrified, scared to death, didn't know what to do, didn't know how to get out of the hot seat. And I guess we'll figure it out. When lawyers and judges are partaking freely. Mickey was best one we had, and they were going to put it on him. He probably felt betrayed, and that's what set him off. Well, if he thought that Mullins was going to be able to get, free him from this, get him out of it. And then it looked like, oh no, not only can I not help you, but it looks like you're going to be the sacrificial lamb now. First it was Ben, and it looked like it was just coming up the ladder. First Ben, then Mickey, then who? Well, it looks like Mickey wasn't going to go down without Mullins going down too. Someone I know who is family and who has been through the whole gamut jail court and all said she and Judge Mullins had the same reeler. They've both been there at the same time. I've heard that we have several people secretly addicted. And if we all found out who they were, we just wouldn't believe it. So I believe that. Hello, I'm from Leslie County. I live only 1.5 miles away from Leslie County Jail. I know someone that was recently locked up with Stines, and his paranoia is still in full effect. Well, thank you, Miss Chastity, for telling us that. So there's you another person there. Mickey was the fall guy, reputation destroyed, problems with wife taking the heat after Ben. I feel bad for both sides. I definitely feel bad for the widow of the judge. I couldn't imagine finding this stuff out about my husband on national TV. I often think of how she may feel right now. Yeah. I think the wives need physicals for too much activities going on. Well, that's true. Paranoia brought on from red rumming someone without a firearm. Yeah, his conscience was getting to him. That person never relapsed. We say honestly, honesty is best policy. This person would admit to thinking about it, but never acted on it. Get on their bad side and they get rid of you. You can't make this up. Let's see if I missed one from you, Miss Angie. There's been so much happen that I don't even remember all of it. My brain has had a lot of brain fog or something. I don't remember half of the stuff I've done in my life, thank God. He looked at his hearing the other day from Zoom when Stines did his hearing. He checked it out. Happens in rehab, men taking advantage of the girls. I witnessed it many times, and only one got in trouble. Well, Miss Angie, that's been happening for so long. A lot of the people that end up working in these rehabs are oftentimes recovering addicts themselves. And it's been my experience that usually whenever people go to these rehabs, sometimes they end up hooking up at these rehabs. They'll end up hooking up with the counselor or hooking up with somebody who's at the AA program or at the AA meeting or at the NA meeting. And it doesn't just happen with people in recovery. It also happens with the counselors, the people who are running the place, whatever position that they're in. It happens all the time. They're not hiring the cream of the crop, remember. And when you have two people who end up getting in relationships like that, next thing you know, they've relapsed. Or one of them will relapse and then the next one will follow. Or they both relapse at the same time. It just happens. And it happens way more than people ever want to admit. Because then you're ashamed and you're embarrassed and you don't want to have to, face the consequences. And then their coworkers cover for them, and then they don't tell them, or they'll run away together. It's just a mess. It's a mess. Lots of unknowns, but I'm sure he would have retired early if he knew where he is now. I think about him every single night that I lay down. Every single night that I lay my head down, Mickey runs through my mind. Where's he at? What's he thinking right now? Ned was trying to reel us in with his time to unalive narrative. 3 months left to retirement. Congratulations. Hello, Letcher County family and friends. Hello, Katie. Men will do crazy things when wife leaves them or has problems. Doesn't pay much rehab, can't find the good ones. Well, they wouldn't even give me an interview. Why? Because I didn't go through their program. They couldn't take the credit for my recovery. They couldn't sit there and flaunt my success as their success. They couldn't market me and my story. So they weren't even going to bother with me, and it ain't just, that's just how the good old boys circle works, regardless of what business we're talking about. Those meetings are breeding grounds for more sinister problems, and you think that they're not taking advantage of women sexually in those circles? Huh. That's one of the worst places for taking advantage of vulnerable people is in the treatment and recovery rooms. All right, y'all. We'll leave this one here for tonight. And we will see you all tomorrow. Remember, if you're not a subscriber, hit the subscribe button. If you've not liked the video, please hit that like button for us. It helps us get shared in front of new viewers. It helps the channel so much more than what you know. And if you are we have memberships, get you a membership, and then send me an email to hillbillycrime@gmail.com and ask me for the Discord link, and I will send you a link to our Discord. We're going to start doing some members only lives together to go through the Discord and show you all some of the neat stuff that we can do in there together. And all right, y'all, we've got a whole lot coming out this week, so got a lot to talk about. All right, honey. Well, you all have a great rest of your evening. Stay warm. Stay blessed. Peace out, Girl Scout.